Right, okay, welcome back to Beat the Lockdown. Joined once again by Pete and Tom for one of our discussions about playlists from last week. Today we'll be discussing our number ones playlist from last week. If you are looking to follow along with those playlists, then the links will be down below the video, just above the comments. I'm intrigued to hear your guys' choices on these ones. So let's start with Pete.
So as soon as I've been watching these on YouTube, so as soon as I clicked on this playlist, I was like, because I can see the first 5, and immediately the track 1, Calvin Harris and Dua Lipa, like I really don't like that track, so I was like, oh, I'm in trouble here. But then I was like, oh, Daft Punk, I quite like that one. Even the Madonna one, which I don't think is anyone's favourite Madonna song, or Justin Timberlake. I think that's all right. But scrolling through it, I then saw number 6, Sugar Babes, Freak Like Me, which I would bet a £5 we've all put. I'm pretty confident of that. I mean, you're going to show me I'm wrong now, probably, but...
we'll see.
What number is that in the list? Did you say number 6?
It's number 6 on the playlist, on my playlist anyway.
It didn't make the cut, but it was in hard consideration.
Okay, right. Well, I still want a £5 then. So that is the first one I put. I knew that without even having to scroll through the rest of the list that was going to be on there. I just think that's brilliant. I don't think that anything like that's ever been done before. Like, it's a cover of a mashup. Which is, I just think it's a brilliant pop song. The George Michael one, which I was never a fan of, and then you come to Oasis, some might say, which I feel like has been when people talk about Oasis, it's their first number one, obviously, hence making the list, and people I think don't really remember this one. It's not one that gets talked about much, but I think it's probably one of their best. So I picked that one. And I also went for the next one, KWS.
Interesting.
Which, I don't think I heard this song for a long time, or if I did, it never really made an impression. And then I heard it maybe on a quiz or something a few years back, maybe 5 years ago, and I was like, do you know what? I'm really getting into this. It's just really nice. It's quite repetitive, but not in a bad way particularly. It's just a really nice track.
Yeah.
And then fourth one made it quite difficult for me because there's a few that I could have easily gone for. Like, so Duran Duran, The Reflex, I'm a big fan of. But I also really love Gino by Dexy's Midnight Runners. But I also really like Fernando by ABBA, and I was like, oh, what am I?
See, the fourth track was the hardest for me. Like, this was one where I was kind of like, yep, 1, 2, 3, and I was like, oh man, there's a good 4 or 5 that could be number 4.
Yeah, there were some which were definitely not in contention. Like I cannot stand Spirit in the Sky. I think I just immensely dislike it. Adam and the Ant, Stand and Deliver, I don't really like either. Like, I quite like Ant music, but Stand and Deliver I've never liked. What else have we got? Move Closer, yeah, no, that's not happening. So ultimately I went for The Reflex, which I think is an absolute hammer.
Right, okay. So you picked
Sugar Babes, Oasis, KWS, and Duran Duran.
Tom?
I had struggled. This was difficult. Not because I think looking at any of them, I went, oh yeah, that's a must. I have to. Other than Spirit in the Sky.
So you've got that, have you?
Yeah, I have. But the only reason being is that every time I hear that, I'm taken back to watching Guardians of the Galaxy. So I did get to like slightly further into the song and properly listen to it, and was like, oh, this seems like a real Jesus song. I hadn't realised that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing that colours my dislike of it, apart from all the Jesus stuff, is is Gareth Gates, who covered this.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was.
You can't just dislike a song because somebody.
I know. I dislike it. I dislike it anyway. But I mean, that takes it up a notch or down a notch, however you want to look at it. Yeah. So yeah, I just needed to.
Yeah.
To mention.
Okay. So Tom's first pick is Spirit in the Sky. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
And then, yeah. Cheers. I really enjoyed the Louis Armstrong song. I think for no other reason than it's a song that's been played in my house around sort of Christmas time, year after year. Yeah, Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. I enjoyed that, so that's in the list. I have Some Might Say, because I think when I was listening to it again, it sort of took me back to when I was a kid, and like I'd be listening to it. I think it's one of my dad's albums that he bought that I really enjoyed listening to. I considered Fast Love by George Michael.
Awful video.
Oh yeah, but I'm not looking at videos.
No, I'm just putting it out there. It's people sort of dancing in rain, or at least just water being poured over them, and it's just it's I don't know if it's meant to sort of be cliched like that, but it's just bad.
On a Wham theme, when I was doing the randomizer the other day for the channel, one of the picks I discounted because it was a Christmas song. And it was Last Christmas, and the sleeve pictures for that are hilarious, because like Ridgely is dressed as a reindeer, and on one of the middle ones, like the reindeer's just dead, and it's just George Michael like crying at the sky. I just thought it just tickled me. I was just sort of, it's just a good set of. It just basically looks like just muck about. You're dressed as a reindeer. You're dressed as an elf. Just have a laugh, mate.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a completely unplanned photo shoot for what ended up being such a big song. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Your fourth choice, Tom.
I'll go with Gino. I think I did consider Get Lucky, because again, it's a song that just when it's on, you can't help but dance a little to it. But
I found this, as I say, quite hard. First three were nail-ons for me. Get Lucky, as of a modern pop song, it's right up there in terms of like things. And I say modern, it's probably even like.
What face said you disagree, Pete?
It's not I dislike it. I think it's a bit overrated. It doesn't do that much for me.
Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's not. It's not going to be in any list of one of the greatest songs ever written. I think, unfortunately, this song is slightly tarnished by some of the songs Pharrell did at the same time.
Blurred Lines.
Huh?
Blurred Lines.
Well, Blurred Lines, but also Happy.
I was just thinking about Happy. Like, I really like Happy. I think
there's nothing wrong with Happy at all, but Happy's
what happened to this?
A repetitive pop song. I think it almost drags this into that genre, when actually, I remember when I first heard it, I mean, the album as a whole was, I thought was a shame, because it was a real near miss. It could have been so good, but I think ended up being very middling. This song, the other Pharrell track, Lose Yourself to Dance, I think is slightly better. Very repetitive, but then, Daft Punk are a dance duo, so repetition is something that they work with.
That's one of the things that put me off this song and the album as well, because the older stuff, like something like Robot Rock, which is repetitive, but it never gets dull. But whereas this, I kind of found found it fairly dull from beginning, and then even more so by the end.
I don't disagree with you. It's overplayed, and probably doesn't deserve as many accolades as it got.
No.
But I also think it is a song that will, given that it already has that almost 70s style feel to it anyway, and it felt fresh when it came out, I think it will still feel fresh in 10, 15 years' time. My second choice was the Beatles' Get Back.
Yeah, I like that track, but it's not one of those Beatles tracks that really makes you go, oh yeah, that's a good tune. It's kind of, I know it was number one actually, but it's kind of a bit a bit sort of on the lower end of their.
Yeah, I think it's one of their less individual tracks in terms of a lot of other people have done something very similar to that. But
I do like it, but yeah, I don't think it was ever close to being picked.
A lot of my Beatles interest tends to be along the lines of more the ballady stuff, and this obviously isn't that. My third choice was What a Wonderful World. Not an era of music that I have a particular knowledge of or anything, but I mean, when a song like that remains as popular as that song has remained, in terms of how often it's used for countless segues in television, film, it tends to be for a reason, and this is for good reason. You know, this is such a evocative song.
There's very little else like it, is there?
No.
Especially when it comes to either his voice, no one else has really, at least on as a popular artist, has ever really sounded like him. And the song itself is so kind of warm and it's not necessarily upbeat particularly, but no, it's certainly warm. I guess warm is a good word for it.
I just think it's a great song that has deserved to stand the test of time. Yeah, I mean, although it's my third on the list, probably was the first for me to actually get on the list.
I was tempted by it as well, but yeah. I just had to go with I preferred the ones I picked. So
see, like yourself, Pete, I struggled with the fourth. I mean, we're going to always get a mixture of brand new stuff. Well, I say brand new, but a couple of years old, all the way through to 50s, 60s, and that always poses a problem for me, because I would always look at some of the older stuff and go, well, I can't not have that. That's something that I've liked my whole life. When, something like Waves, for example, the second track on the playlist, is a song I really like. It's something that I've listened to quite a lot over the last couple of years, but I couldn't possibly put that in a list over What a Wonderful World. So it's quite difficult to kind of justify things. Something has to be really good if it's newer to overcome the older stuff.
But it doesn't have history with you, or the memories, nostalgia. It doesn't have any of that.
I nearly picked Some Might Say. It wasn't. It's not one of them. It's not really in my top sort of 5 or 6 Oasis songs. So, not one of my favourites. Reflex and True, 2 sort of big 80s tunes. Didn't quite make it for me. Gino was very close. Far prefer Gino to Come On Eileen. Just a better song. Fernando, again, a good ABBA track. I erred more on the side of liking Spirit in the Sky than on the Pete side. My actual fourth choice changed quite late in the day, but I'm also glad it's going to move on because Pete picked it as well. which is Please Don't Go.
Yes.
This will be a thing that will come up a few times, I'm sure, with me on these playlists. But I remember I used to quite often find myself on road trips with my dad when I was sort of the ages between sort of 5 and probably like 13, 14. And he would always have mixtapes or mix CDs later later on. And there are certain tracks that when I hear them, it just takes me back to those road trips. One of those songs that as soon as I listened to it when I was going through which things had been number one that week, I was like, oh yes, I've not heard this in ages. And I put it straight on another playlist that I was listening to. I was like, oh yeah, I need to make sure I don't lose that again for another few years. So yeah, that was my fourth pick. So yeah, my picks were Daft Punk, Get Lucky, Get Back the Beatles, What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong, and Please Don't Go, KWS. That, I believe...
3 very different lists, isn't it, I think?
Well, I mean... Yeah, I mean...
neither of you put Freak Like Me. I'm genuinely surprised.
Yeah, you're right. It is a really good track. Probably their best track, I would say. Almost certainly, in fact. And yeah, yes, you're right. It's very interesting. They did a very different take on it. And it was done well as well. It was you can't deny it's a good pop song, and refreshingly different from some of the tosh we had at the time. I mean, the ones we've definitely said are going on are What a Wonderful World, that got 2 votes. Some Might Say got 2 votes, and Please Don't Go got 2 votes. We between us will have to pick between Get Lucky, Get Back, Freak Like Me, Reflex, Spirit in the Sky, and Gino.
Well, I would straight up, as I picked it before, go for Freak Like Me, but okay. I don't think either of you are.
Tom, so, what are you thinking of all those single ones? What do you think?
I've already chosen Spirit in the Sky and Gino. Either one of those is fine by me. If it was going to be one, I'd probably choose Gino. But I'll go Freak Like Me.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think it would be between 2 if I wasn't picking the ones I picked, and it would be between Freak Like Me and Gino. And I think I'll tell you what. Let's move them both on, both Gino and Freak Like Me. So
everyone's a
so yeah, we've moved on. What a Wonderful World, Freak Like Me, Some Might Say, Please Don't Go, and Gino.